Purim is the celebration of the Jewish deliverance from the ancient Persian Empire and the victory of Mordecai and Esther over Haman's evil plot to annihilate the Jewish people. Purim is celebrated on the 14th day of the Hebrew month of Adar, which is the day following the victory of the Jews over their enemies. The day of Purim is also celebrated with a variety of festive activities, including but not limited to jovial plays, costumes, and a large amount of liquor. All these activities combine to make Purim a day when Jews truly let loose, and an extremely pervasive party atmosphere is prevalent throughout the Jewish community.
Now kids, you remember why Daddy's allowed to act silly tonight, right?
Yes, Father.
Good. Now Peter, because you just turned 10, I would like you to lead the family in prayers, describing why we converted to Judaism and became an integral addition to the chosen people.
Well, what should I say?
Whatever inspires you.
Okay. Well, I'm very thankful that we can be a part of a belief system that is so steeped in human history and also helps to teach us valuable lifelong lessons.
Good.
Right. So, Mary, why is Daddy allowed to act silly tonight?
Because he's hammered?
And why is Daddy hammered?
Because today is Purim, and we are encouraged to celebrate and have a festive meal after our time spent in the synagogue today, listening to readings of the Jemima Western.
You mean Megillah Esther?
Right.
And Joseph, what else is required of us on this holy night?
Well, we gave those Krispy Kreme donuts to our neighbors, and we gave money to the poor people that were outside 7-Eleven. We don't normally do that, do we?
Oh, goodness, no. That is correct. We are supposed to send gifts of food and give charity to those less fortunate.
Kids, what I was going to say is that now is our favorite time. Story time!
Yay! The Purim spiel is my favorite. Do we have our costumes from last year?
Unfortunately, Peter, we don't. I had to pawn them off to pay for Daddy's special drinks tonight. So instead of our usual reenactment, I will supply the family with entertainment just from my voice.
The Book of Esther begins with King Ahasuerus of Persia holding a 6-month-long drinking feast for all the civil servants and princes of his 127 provinces, as well as the Persian army. Then he holds a separate week-long drinking feast for the inhabitants of Shushan. At this feast, the king gets very drunk and orders his wife Vashti to show all the people her birthday suit. Vashti declines this romantic offer and is immediately replaced from her position as Queen of Persia. The king then orders all the young women to be placed before him so he may choose his next queen. One of these young women went by the name Esther, changed from Hadassah so she would not appear Jewish, and the king liked what he saw. Esther's cousin Mordecai, who also happens to be her surrogate foster parent, discovers a plot to kill King Ahasuerus and ends up foiling the plan. Ahasuerus then appoints Haman as his royal vizier, and he has a severe falling out with Mordecai when Mordecai refuses to bow to Haman. This does not make Haman happy. Having found out that Mordecai is Jewish, Haman decides to exterminate all Jews, including Haman, and receives Ahasuerus' permission to do this. Haman chooses the date of the 13th of Adar. When the plan is uncovered, Esther asked all Jews to repent and fast for 3 days. On the 3rd day she holds a feast at which both Haman and the king are present. During this feast, Esther invites the attendants back for another feast the next day, and Mordecai again offends Haman, prompting Haman to build gallows for Mordecai's inevitable death. That same night, King Ahasuerus suffers from insomnia and has the court records read to him to help him fall asleep. During this reading, he finds out about Mordecai's heroic efforts to save his life and realizes he was never congratulated. At the same time, Haman enters and is asked by the king how the king should honor someone. Haman, thinking the king wished to honor himself, replied that the man should be led around on the king's horse and dressed in the king's royal robes. To Haman's great surprise, he is instructed to do so for Mordecai. Later, during Esther's second feast, she reveals both that she is Jewish and Haman's plan to kill all of the Jews, which would include her. Ironically, King Ahasuerus orders Haman hanged on the gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. However, the king's previous decree could not be undone. Nonetheless, the king let Esther and Mordecai write another decree, and they decreed that they were allowed to defend themselves. And defend themselves they did. The Jewish people soundly defeated their attackers, while Mordecai was given a high position in the king's court. With his new power, Mordecai commemorates that day with an annual celebration, which evolved into the present-day holiday we now know as Purim.